We've all been there. You spend 10 minutes writing a highly specific prompt, hit enter, and watch the AI spit back a tangled mess of skipped instructions and robotic formatting. Blaming the prompt is a common reaction, but the actual bottleneck is treating these models as interchangeable assistants. Most people assume ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude are the exact same brain behind different logos. Over the past year, the labs behind these models have trained them to solve very different problems. Relying on a single AI for every task leads to dropped instructions, robotic, rigid drafting, and costly hallucinations. Building a workflow that actually saves time requires matching the friction of your task to the specific functional strength of the model. We can draw a clear dividing line across the AI landscape to separate everything into two camps: everyday AI and specialist AI. Everyday AI models are general-purpose reasoning engines. You use them when you need creative fluidity, brainstorming, and drafting. Specialist AI exists purely to fetch and verify hard facts. This chart maps the top tools across two axes: logical reasoning on the vertical axis and media ingestion and search on the horizontal. Categorized, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude dominate the reasoning space, while Perplexity and Notebook LM lock into distinct roles for information retrieval. Understanding this split prevents a major operational trap. You should never ask a tool built for creative brainstorming to retrieve cold, hard facts. Let's start with the reasoning engines, looking specifically at ChatGPT. Its defining characteristic is strict step-by-step obedience. To test this, I handed the major models a complex hiring rubric containing 12 precise formatting and sorting rules. ChatGPT processed every single requirement. It didn't skip a rule or decide to reorganize the logic on its own. When you feed that same lengthy prompt to alternative models, they often decide they know better, silently dropping rules to deliver a faster, less accurate result. This reliability extends to web searches. When explicitly commanded to search the web, ChatGPT executes the search every time, whereas competitors often try to guess the answer from their training data. If a task has many moving parts and one error breaks the entire system, trade creative fluidity for ChatGPT's rigid structural adherence. Supported by Google's extensive server footprint, Gemini serves as the heavy lifter of the everyday AI category. Its edge is comprehensive multimodality, backed by a context window that handles up to 2 million tokens. It processes video, audio, images, and text natively. To test that capacity, I simultaneously uploaded an hour-long video meeting, a 20-slide presentation deck, and a photo of a messy whiteboard session. This visual represents Gemini's expansive context window. Forcing these 3 heavy files into any other model would literally choke the system. Gemini successfully ingested all the data and synthesized the different formats into a single, clean, standard operating procedure. The trade-off is that Gemini's raw logical reasoning can sometimes feel a step behind ChatGPT's. When your workflow involves transcribing video or pulling text from large file dumps, that minor drop in reasoning is worth Gemini's ingestion capabilities. For stylistic nuance and high-quality first drafts, Claude consistently leads the pack. In developer benchmarks, Claude routinely beats the competition by writing functional code like a Go script to bulk export customer service tickets on its very first attempt. It applies that same precision to written copy. If you feed the model your previous scripts or corporate documents, it will replicate your specific brand voice. The resulting text sounds human and requires far fewer revisions than the robotic, overly formal drafts generated by other models. The catch is that Claude lacks the rigid adherence to complex administrative checklists that you get with a model like ChatGPT. If your main hurdle is the blank page, or if you need quick, functional code without being a developer yourself, Claude should be your default. When you need absolute certainty, you have to switch to specialist AI. These are fine-tuned fetching engines. Perplexity acts as a search scalpel. It is optimized strictly to retrieve instant, heavily cited, and accurate information from across the web. Notebook LM takes a different approach. It operates as a walled garden, entirely isolated from the broader internet. While Perplexity searches outward, a Notebook LM query stays strictly inside a closed box containing only the files you upload, which allows it to catch contradictions in your drafts. Because it cannot draw from outside information, its output is strictly limited by the accuracy of the files you provide. There is also Grok, which serves a specific niche, analyzing real-time events by tapping directly into the Twitter data stream. If factual accuracy matters more than a creative narrative, skip the chatbots and rely on a specialist fetching tool. The real leverage comes from connecting these distinct models into a single daily pipeline. You start by assigning the heavy research and structural outlining to ChatGPT or Gemini. Once you have a rigid outline, you hand off that structure to Claude to apply stylistic polish and generate a human-sounding draft. Finally, you run that polished draft back through Notebook LM or Perplexity to verify the factual integrity of every claim. This integrated sequence allows for both creative speed and factual precision. Professional-grade results happen when you stop looking for one tool to do everything and start treating them as specialized stations on an assembly line. To avoid paying for overlapping subscriptions, you need a clear decision logic for your tasks. This scorecard breaks it down. For complex logic trees, default to ChatGPT. For heavy media dumps, use Gemini. If drafting copy or code, choose Claude. Finally, for factual accuracy, route queries through Perplexity or Notebook LM. You do not need to pay for every tool on the market. Identify the single friction point that consumes 80% of your day. Pay for the model that solves it, and utilize the free tiers for the rest.